After 4 years of hosting my own podcast, my own talk show, 4 different podcasts, 3 different talk shows, and hosting one currently right now, I know a thing or two about some mistakes that you need to avoid. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 essential mistakes that can really ruin your talk show. It's coming up right now. You don't want to miss this. What's up, Nez Nation? How in the world are you? I hope you're doing really well. I'm going to talk to you today about 3 essential mistakes, 3 things you need to avoid in order to effectively host a talk show so you can take your podcast, take your live stream show, take your talk show to the next level. We're living in a day and age right now where it's the most beautiful era ever for you and I, people, content creators, somebody who wants to build their brand equity, build their personal brand. This is an unbelievable method, especially with the power of podcasting and the popularity of podcasting, which, by the way, I've got a podcast. If you go to Nez Nation Live, we're all over the place, by the way. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, you name it, we're pretty much there. Anchor, go check us out. It's called Nez Nation Live, Personal Branding 101 Podcast, helping you to discover your purpose, communicate your message, so you can impact your audience. It's pretty much like a personal branding university. I mean, I am a business communications professor. I'm also an entrepreneur. I've owned 2 businesses. I'm running 2 businesses right now, my agency and my online academy, hint, hint, beyondtheboxacademy.com. You got to go check this out. This is the greatest online academy. I mean, we're teaching you real, actual, practical, tangible, substantive skills on how to build your own brand, how to make money on your brand, how to communicate your message, how to understand, the different platforms, content creation, live stream, everything. You got to go check it out. So let's just jump right into it. So number 1, okay. And by the way, let me caveat this by saying this isn't going to be like a screen sharing sort of, this is how you set up there's so many other great YouTube videos. There's so many other great resources online if you really want to know the technical kind of wherewithal. I'm talking about really the sort of qualitative, not so much the kind of, the A squared plus B squared methodology of where you set it up, where you host, and how do you transport audio files, none of that stuff. Hopefully you've already known or you've found out how to do that, or maybe you're currently thinking about hosting a talk show of your own. It's a great way to build up your brand. I think these 3 things that you need to avoid are going to really help you in a crucial way. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do if you want to really, host an effective talk show and avoid these 3 mistakes. The first mistake that you want to avoid is putting your guests and making your guests do way more work than is necessary. And what do I mean by this? Okay, you want your, when you invite, so if you're going to have a talk show, you're going to have to invite guests. You're going to have to reach out. You're going to have to network. You're going to have to establish relationships, build, some kind of a rapport with somebody who you want to bring on your show. Especially, hopefully you'll pick somebody who resonates with your audience. Kind of a bonus tip here. When you are in the process of selecting somebody for your show, make sure that what they, bring to the table is valuable to your audience, not valuable to you. Because if it's just valuable to you, then jump on a quick Zoom call or something for 15, 20 minutes and hang out. But your whole point of having a talk show, the whole point of having a program, whether it's off or online, is to really be of service and value to your audience. Whether it's entertaining, fun, inspirational, educational, hopefully all 3. It's got to have some kind of a purpose, right? So the people that you bring onto your show. So for example, I had a guest on my show not that long ago who was using LinkedIn Live, was one of the early beta testers of LinkedIn Live. As of this recording, LinkedIn Live is brand new. And I had them come onto my show and tell us, their experiences with LinkedIn Live, because not everybody has it. Now, why would LinkedIn Live, or bringing on somebody who's been, really implementing this feature, why would that have benefit to my audience? Well, because my audience cares about building their online reputation, cares about, growing their brand, building something that they can either monetize or build a community around or even advance their career with. And so LinkedIn Live is a fantastic fantastic feature on an amazing platform that, you can do that with. You can execute those functions. So it makes sense that I would have that guest come on my show. So make sure that you're picking somebody who resonates with your audience. That wasn't even what this tip was going to be about, but I think that's a really, really good one. So what I was going to say, the mistake that people make is they have their guests go through all of this rigmarole, hula hooping in and out, making it this difficult process to be a part of your show. And you've got to stop this. This still happens today. As a matter of fact, I got invited to be on a podcast, and I've basically decided I'm not going to do it because the host of the podcast is asking way too much of me. You got to understand something. Everybody and their mother is busy now. Nobody has time. Everybody in the world is looking, searching, trying to find more time as much as possible because we're all fighting time. That is the mother lode right there. That is the greatest UFC fighter that ever existed. Mayweather, Conor McGregor, Nurmagomedov, they've got nothing on time, okay? Nobody can beat time. So why are you putting your guests through all this hoopla? I understand if you've got something very simple like, hey, let me know if there's anything that you don't want to discuss or something particular that you want to discuss, or send me some links I can put in my show notes. That makes sense. But what I'm talking about is something like this. For example, I'll use this exact, I'm not going to name any names, but so this one, podcast host or live stream talk show host invited me on their talk show, but it came with all of this sort of paperwork I needed to fill. I felt like I was writing an essay. It was a 10 question questionnaire. It was a survey. It was, you list 5 topics and why you think they're important for my audience. It's like, dude, you asked me to be on your show. I'm doing a favor for you. I mean, your guests are doing you a favor, not the other way around. So you need to think of it that way. You're cordially inviting them. You are the host. You want your guest to feel as comfortable as possible. You know what I do when I invite a guest on? I say, here's my scheduler. Here's my calendar. Pick a day and time. Bada boom, bada bing. We're in business. I don't make my guests fill out a question. I do the research beforehand. I advise you to do the same thing. Do the research beforehand. Find out who these people are. Find out what they do. Find out what kind of service, value, what kind of information, what kind of, what could they bring to your show that your audience will get really fulfilled and feel like, wow, that was really worth watching, giving their time to. Don't put your guests through this unbelievable friction, friction-filled process. I mean, don't put them through this rigorous process. It makes no sense at all to do that. You're going to turn them off. They're not going to be excited about it. They're going to regret saying yes, and that regret is going to come off in the show. I mean, do your own research. Make sure that you find out exactly who these people are and why they need to be on your show and what service they can fulfill, what value they can provide, or else, you're making them do all the research. You're making them do all the, I just basically said no to this individual. I haven't booked anything. As a matter of fact, I don't think I even responded to their email, which is not really cool, but you know what? I'm busy. I got things to do. I can't fill out a 10-question survey. I can't fill out 5 paragraphs of 5 different topics that you're the one who asked me to be on your show. So do a little bit of research, do your own due diligence, and let me just come on the show and do what I do best, okay, which is be myself. And I will already consider bringing some specific value to your audience. If they're a worthy guest, they'll already do their own homework before they come on their show. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if you've ever been invited to a podcast or a live stream show and you've experienced something like this. Or let me know if you disagree with that. I'd love to hear your thoughts as to why. Do you disagree with that? Do you think that a guest should fill out, a lot of information? A guest should be pressed upon to provide a lot of data and statistics and topic descriptions so that they can really, validate their invite to the show? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. The second thing is this mistake. Don't expect your live streams to be perfect. Leave room for flexibility. Now, I talk about this in previous videos. I'll leave them in the card up above. I've got some videos on how to host a talk show and what are the best ways to host a live stream show and things of that nature. I talk a lot about this because this is what I love to do. I'm a live stream nut job, self-proclaimed live stream nut job, and I love creating content this way. I'm a content creating machine. So a lot of people, they can become very flummoxed or flustered when things don't start going according to plan. If you're going to be a content creator, and most of you probably already know this, but if you're going to be a content creator, you need to leave room for the intangible. You need to leave room for errors, mistakes. There's no way that you're going to be able to. Obviously, you want to be prepared, but it is an impossibility. It's an act of futility to be prepared for every single mistake that will happen. This has happened to me many, many, many times. The important thing is to adapt and roll with the punches and do the best you can. The show must go on. It really pains me to see. I see a lot of podcast live stream show hosts. They go live and they have their show, and maybe there's some technical errors or things don't go well, so they just cancel. They went through all this trouble to invite people, invite audience, let the audience know, promote it all over, and get hype and draw attention to their show, and they end up canceling it because of a couple of things that went wrong. Now, obviously, there's extraneous circumstances and there's exceptions to this rule, but I always think the show must go on. Find a way to adapt. Don't let it get to you. Don't stop the show. Be professional. And you know what? What I find is that your audience will understand. Most people, they fear what their audience will think. They fear, oh my God, I'm going to look unprofessional. Oh my God, I'm going to look terrible. Oh my God, look at me. I'm making all these mistakes, or there's all these technical errors. It's amateur hour. That's not necessarily the case, especially if you address it, especially if you just communicate to your audience and say, you know what, we're experiencing this, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. This has happened to me many, many times. As a matter of fact, if you go to my channel and you check out my live stream playlists, you will see a ton of live stream shows that have gone awry, or at least have not gone the way that I expected them to. So make sure that you think about this. And this is really deeper than just for content creation or for hosting a talk show. This is really, it goes even deeper into your life too. Not everything is going to come out or be executed the exact way that you had planned or you thought it would go according to what you had in your head. It just doesn't work that way. And so sometimes guests are late. Sometimes the guest's technical equipment, which is out of your control. Sometimes the interface, the software, maybe, if you're going live on YouTube, which I like to do a lot, sometimes YouTube, the server is down or the server is not acting the way you want to, and you're getting, you're shooting in 480p as opposed to 1080p or 720p. It just happens. So being aware, being open to imperfection, being open to mistakes is part of doing a show. You got to roll with the punches, and the show must go on. Okay, number three, the number three mistake that I see people make when they're hosting a podcast or where they're hosting a show, and I wish that I would have avoided this, is to make sure that the conversation is natural, or it appears to be natural. Engage with your guest. The guest is there to talk to you. The guest is there to engage in a conversation. Treat it as if you're having coffee with the guest. Envision that. If you're having coffee with the person that you're interviewing with, would you talk to him like this? So tell me, Jeff, what do you feel is the number one reason? I mean, no, you wouldn't talk like that. I see a lot of these people, these hosts and podcast hosts and talk show hosts, their personality is left outside of the sound booth. It's almost like they turn into this automaton, or they turn into this, it's very rigid, and it doesn't come off as a natural conversation. I understand planning. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say this. Most of you might not even know this, but I never have questions in advance for my guests. I have ideas and concepts, and of course I know a lot about them usually before I interview them. And so, I do have questions, but nothing really too premeditated. Why? Because I feel that allows the conversation to unfold much more spontaneously and much more just natural in a real way that the audience can feel. And I've been very successful doing that. There's nothing wrong with planning your questions, but what happens, what I see is people stick. So number two really relates to number three as well, or number three really relates to number two, which is they stick to that regiment of, okay, I've got 5 questions, And, they're yes or no questions. There's no conversation. The important thing about a talk show is to have a conversation. You're not just throwing questions and getting answers. This isn't a survey. This isn't a questionnaire. This is a conversation. It's important to understand this in your head. When you're hosting a talk show, it's important to have a conversation, and hopefully one that is real and natural. So allow the questions to arise. If you do what I do, which I do a live stream podcast show, I have a live audience while I'm interviewing my guests. Turn to them. Say, hey guys, if you have any questions for our guests, if you feel yourself, you know what, I already asked my 5 questions. Now what? If you feel that trepidation or that fear arise, which happens, turn to your audience, especially if you're doing a live stream show. Turn to your audience and say, hey guys, it's that time of the hour where we're accepting questions from you guys, the audience. Let us know in the audience if you have any questions for our wonderful guest or yada, yada, yada. And your audience will help you out because they have great questions. But hopefully you've been working hard at building an audience. You've been working hard at creating a message that reaches the right audience. Hint, hint, which is what this entire channel is about. So if you need help with that, check out all my stuff. Just go down in the playlist below or go to professornez.com and professornez.com/livestreams, and you'll see all that stuff. And you can turn to them. So many times I see this rigid mechanical exchange, and it just doesn't come off as a real conversation. It comes off as very punchy and very choppy and static. A conversation is a living, breathing thing. It's got its own ebb and flow. It can go into a myriad of different directions. This takes time. The advanced talk show host will understand how powerful this is, but it's important to allow the conversation to take place and not force it. So many of you are forcing the conversation to take place. Allow it to take place. Listen more than talk. I kind of have a problem with that. I like to talk too much. But try to do more listening than talking. Listen to your audience, especially if you're doing a live stream show. But even post-show, when you post your show, you post your podcast, listen to the feedback. Listen to the reaction. It's okay if some of it seems, my God, it seems like they're criticizing me. Criticism is good as long as it's constructive and it's based on valid information and not just, you're ugly. You're stupid. This is a dumb show. You're an idiot. As long as there's something constructive behind it, accept it, embrace it. It could save your show. It could be the best thing that ever happened to your show. Okay. So number 1, make it easy. Let's kind of review this. Let's go back and review the 3 tips. So number 1, make sure that your guest does not have to do any work. Your guest should not have to do any work. You're inviting them on your show. You should be doing most of the work. A small, quick, hey, give me some information on you, or do you have a bio or anything like that? That's cool. But don't make them go through this rigmarole. Don't make them go through hula hoops to be on your show. That's a one-way ticket to them never wanting to be on your show again and them resenting you. You don't want that. That's not how you build relationships in this space. Okay. Number 2, be open, flexible. Understand that things are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen, just like in life. Your show is going to have technical problems. Your show is not going to go according to plan, but the show must go on, especially if you hype it up to your audience and you create this event, right? Serve your audience and never mind the mistakes, never mind the imperfections, never mind the errors. If there's an opportunity to move forward, please, by all means, move forward. And then number 3, last but not least, don't premeditate too much with your guest. It's okay to have questions, but try to engage with your guest. It's a conversation. It's not just a question and answer exchange. It's not a survey. It's not a questionnaire. Engage, make it natural, be you, be comfortable. Turn to your audience for help from them. Make sure that the conversation is flowing in a very real way that doesn't seem too rigid, mechanical, or robotic, okay? I hope you guys got a lot out of this video. It means the world to me that you came and checked this out. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this and what you think you're going to implement. Which one of the tips do you feel relate to you the most? And which one of these aspects or these mistakes have you made in the past, and what have you done to overcome them? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, this is a channel about mindset and messaging, helping you discover your purpose, communicate your message so you can impact your audience. Make sure you click that subscribe button down below because we're bringing brain-busting content every single week to y'all. I am Professor Nez, your personal branding coach. If you need any help with crafting a message, building your brand, creating an online reputation that can make you money, advance your career, and build the right community, I'm going to leave links in the description below where you can reach me. You can always email me at nez@professornez.com or go to our website, professornez.com. And last thing, our academy, we've got some killer courses in there, killer digital products. BeyondTheBoxAcademy.com. We've got a flagship course called Personal Branding 101 Masterclass. Go check it out. I'm leaving a coupon code in the description below just for you guys. So I hope you guys will go check that out. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.